Hello and welcome to Between the Lines, the show where I review sports books from around the world, but particularly those available in South Africa. It can be a book from one of the main publishers, it can be self-published or anything in between. I'm not fussy, and if you've got a book you'd like me to review, then I'd love to hear from you, or indeed if you want to respond to any of the things that I've been saying, there's the email address. It is sportbetweenthelines@gmail.com, and don't forget to press like and subscribe. Right, today's book is this one, No Rules, the James Small Story, written by Simon Borchert and Gavin Rich, published by Rebel Creative Agency and available at jamessmall.co.za. Money raised from sales will go towards the James Small Trust, which was set up to help support his two children, Caleb and Ruby. Now, it occurs to me that there are people out there who don't remember James, so let me put him in context for you. James played on the wing and sometimes at fullback in 47 tests for the Springboks, 20 tries, which was a record at the time, a World Cup winner in 1995, and at his peak in the late 1990s, the generator of more column inches in the South African press than any other player. The media was far more interested in James's private life than in his rugby. He married and had a child with a catwalk model, Christina Storm, and the two had a tempestuous relationship, much of it captured in gory detail by the media. James lived life to the full. But behind the bad boy party animal image was a gentle soul who loved children and hated the limelight. Well, after his rugby career ended, James battled to come to terms with the real world, something that many professional sportsmen and women struggle with. He missed the game, but his volatile character meant that his coaching career was never fast-tracked in the way that it was with some others. He coached the Pirates Club in Johannesburg, assisted Robert du Preez at Northwest University, and even went to the Maccabi games with the South African Jewish team, but the call to the higher echelon never materialized. James was born with a congenital heart defect, and he died of a heart attack in a Johannesburg nightclub 5 years ago. He was just 50 years old. Well, so much for James the man. What about the book? Well, No Rules is first and foremost, I think, a coffee table book. Hardback, packed with full-colour pictures, both by professional photographers and by family and friends. It's an odd shape, square rather than rectangular, and that can be a double-edged sword. Strange formats can help a book to stand out in the crowd, but bookshops don't like them because it makes them harder to display among more conventional volumes. Nevertheless, I think the designers have done a pretty good job. A word on the two authors. Simon Borchert was the editor of SA Rugby magazine for 17 years and has several rugby-themed books to his name. Gavin Rich is one of the most respected writers in the rugby firmament, both in print and online. He's also the author of several fine rugby books, and he's a mate of mine, but don't let that get in the way here. Well, the book is structured around a series of interviews conducted by Simon and Gavin, and nearly everything in it is a first-person account. We begin with family and friends, and then move through the recollections of James's rugby teammates. The book ends with the transcription of an interview that James did with John Robbie, the former Ireland and Lions scrum half, and the interview happened in August 2018, less than a year before James's untimely death. Inevitably, with so many people's views under one cover, the book is something of a curate's egg, but where it's good, it's very good. His mother, Vaughan, speaks movingly about her son's childhood and his battle to deal with fame and fortune. Mornay du Plessis was the manager of the Bok team that won the 95 World Cup, and his personal relationship with James is fascinatingly described. And John Robbie's interview gives us a vital connection to the words of the man himself. The issue really is that there's a certain amount of unanimity, and that can get a little repetitive. Everyone seems to agree that James could be a pain in the arse, swearing at teammates, breaking team protocols on a regular basis and so on, but he wore his heart on his sleeve and had the ability to calm down, recognise his error after the fact, and then make a full apology. He could be extraordinarily generous, particularly around starry-eyed children waiting for autographs. In some ways, it seems James never really grew up, and so he had a direct connection to young people. Above all, he understood, excelled at, and loved the game of rugby. If you never saw James Small play, you missed out. He was fast, fearless, and skillful. I was lucky enough to commentate on him many times as he plied his trade with the Springboks, the Sharks, the Lions, and Western Province. The game was never dull when James Small was on the field. I also got to know him during his coaching career, and one evening at Pucker, we were sharing a post-match drink in the bar when I noticed a familiar face across the way. It was James's fellow World Cup winning Springbok, Chester Williams, who was doing Afrikaans commentary to my English with SuperSport. I didn't realise that the two men had issues, so I called them together for a picture, and happily they buried the hatchet there and then, and we had a great evening. That picture comes up on my Facebook memories annually, and it's a sad reminder that life is short. Chester died suddenly just 2 months after James. With all that said, let me go about rating the book. First of all, let me reiterate that it's in a very good cause, raising money for the education of James's children. It will resonate with people who remember James at his peak, perhaps less so for the general book-buying public. But my guide rule for Between the Lines is not whether something will sell in vast quantities, but rather, does it achieve what it sets out to do? The answer to that question in this case is yes, and I give it a fine 7 out of 10. Don't forget to go to jamessmall.co.za if you'd like to order a copy. That's it for this time. If you've enjoyed it, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget that the very best way to publicise Between the Lines is word of mouth. So please tell your mates, and I look forward to talking to you next time.